13 states have just been issued a quote radioactive warning to not eat certain foods that are being served at places like Walmart. Also, we are seeing meteor activity lighting up the sky and lots of earthquake activity. Over 200 earthquakes have hit in the past 24 hours. This is almost double the average, right? Around 240. There's normally around a little over 100, around 120 in a 24-hour period. So lots of big news going on. Let's get into what's going on in these 13 states right here. You can see here the FDA advises the public not to eat, sell, or serve certain imported frozen shrimp from an Indonesian farm, right? And you might think, Indonesian farm, what's that mean? Well, this is where the food that you're eating from places like Walmart is coming from, apparently. I didn't realize that fish was and shrimp was coming all the way from Indonesia, but shrimp sold at Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Mississippi, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Texas, and West Virginia. Any type of Great Value brand frozen raw shrimp has been contaminated with radioactive cesium. All right, so cesium-137 radioactive isotopes have been showing up inside of the shrimp, and this is normally a derivative of nuclear waste from energy production or even nuclear weapons. All right, so this is a radioactive byproduct, and it's showing up in the shrimp, and it's at a level that the FDA is saying, hey, this needs to be recalled, and if you have this stuff, you need to get rid of it. All right, we will get into more details of that in just a second, but I wanted to show you guys this too here, this meteor shower that happened. This happened in Japan at the Kansai airport. Live camera view. I wanted to show you guys this really quick because I believe we're going to see more and more activity like this. You can see it really lit up the sky. Pretty wild. All right, to see that in person would be amazing. All right, it's a once in a lifetime thing. That's very rare. I've seen shooting stars, but that's a whole nother level. All right, that's an entire meteor that burned up in the atmosphere over Japan. All right, so I've only seen shooting stars in the really darkest areas of the country where there's no lights around. Looking up at the sky, you can see them, every 10 minutes actually, relatively frequently, but nothing like that. So I think we're going to see more stuff like this as potentially things like our Earth's magnetic field is potentially changing or even weakening. Things like the South Atlantic anomaly are spreading, and it's going to allow more of these meteorites to potentially access our atmosphere, and potentially some of them could make landfall. All right, thankfully this one burned up, it seems like, but there could be chunks and rocks in the area, all right, that people could find. Also, I wanted to show you this earthquake news, and we'll get into more of this recall in a second, but check this out really quick. This was over the past 24 hours. 247 earthquakes, all right, have been reported on the USGS website, and pretty phenomenal amounts. All right, 247 is a ton, and you can see here we're having earthquakes all the way down from Southern California near Los Angeles along the San Andreas fault zone, the Mojave section here, all the way up into Yellowstone. All right, we're getting earthquake activity near Yellowstone. We had a 3.7 hit Mammoth, Wyoming, which is technically in Yellowstone National Park. We got another 1.0 hit Mammoth, and another 1.0 hit Montana, and a 1.7 hit right outside of Jackson, Wyoming. All right, so look at all these earthquakes. It's a ton of activity, and most of it, a lot of it is in the United States. Even Oklahoma's getting earthquakes here, some 2.0s, 1.3, a 1.7 there. And look at Alaska. It is covered in earthquakes. These are all the past 24 hours. Okay, and just to put this into perspective, I'm going to try to zoom in on only the US here, and you can see, look, 220 earthquakes in this frame here. All right, so when I click this little thing over here, it says only list earthquakes shown on the map. This is 220 earthquakes being shown on the map right now, all the way down from Texas all the way up to Alaska. So pretty phenomenal, just the frequency that these are happening. I think a lot of pressure is being released, and I think a lot of this is aftershocks from this 8.8 that hit the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia. And you can just see here, Russia's still getting smacked right now. These 4.6s and 4.9s are still just hitting consistently all day long, right? So people that live on that peninsula, their life has totally changed the past 3 weeks since this hit. Let's get into more information on this recall here. It says here that there are health impacts of this radioactive cesium exposure as well too, and they're worried that it could be in shrimp from these lots. So best by dates of March 15th, 2027. So these are frozen shrimp. You can see the lot codes over here as well too. So check these out if you have these. I actually probably have these in my freezer right now, so I need to go check once I can to see what's going on, if we have any of this radioactive shrimp, and maybe we should send it in and get it tested, see if it actually has it in it. That would be a interesting video or experiment to do. Maybe I'll do that. I'm not sure if I even have the shrimp though, honestly, but this is something that we do buy, you know, relatively frequently, at least, you know, a few times a year, multiple times a year, maybe once a month. We're buying shrimp like this, frozen shrimp from Walmart particularly, and frying it up, right? So it says FDA has detected CS-137, sorry about that, Cesium-137 in a single shipment of imported frozen shrimp. And it says the Bahari McMurray Sagelty that did not enter U.S. commerce. It says here the level of Cesium-137 detected in the detained shipment was approximately 68 BQ per kilogram, and that's just the radioactive unit of measurement. And it says which is below FDA's derived intervention level for CS-137 of 1200. It says at this level the product would not pose an acute hazard to consumers. Avoiding products like the shipment FDA tested with similar levels of Cesium-137 is a measure intended to reduce exposure to low-level radiation that could have health impacts with continued exposure over a long period of time. So they're saying that it's not a massive amount of cesium that's currently in it, but they're saying if you are eating the shrimp a lot, you're eating it every day, you're eating it consistently, then you can accumulate the cesium inside of you, and then it could cause health effects. So if you eat it one time, if you already ate it, it's probably not going to be the end of the world or anything like that, but something to be aware of. And where is this stuff even coming from? Right, that's what I want to know. Where the heck is this radioactive cesium even popping up from, right? Because it doesn't occur naturally, right, in nature. So it has to be from some type of runoff. There was actually radioactive Cesium-137, this exact particle that showed up in the wine, all right, from California, from the Fukushima disaster. Okay, so is this like remnants of Fukushima? I'm not sure exactly why this specific food from Indonesia would have cesium, right? It doesn't really make sense to me, because Indonesia is down here. It's not even really close to Japan. So I'm not sure where this radioactive cesium would even really originate from, right? It's not something that can just naturally occur and accidentally, you know, it's like cyanide or something that is actually natural. It's something that's completely man-made and is a byproduct of nuclear reactors, right? So let me know your best theory. I really don't understand how the cesium could end up in this, but it also ended up in the wine. And this was over a decade ago, right? You can see here this article. This is from NPR. It says how atomic particles help solve a wine fraud mystery. This is from 2014, right? This is already, I remember reading stuff like this over a decade ago about this Fukushima disaster. And it says here that they use it to actually date the wine, right? So if it doesn't have the radioactive cesium, then it won't have, and then it's not dated, right? It's before this Fukushima disaster. So here's another one. They're saying, for example, if it was bottled before about 1945, there shouldn't be any cesium at all. Radioactive evidence of exploded nuclear bombs and the atomic age in the wine, right? So, and they can tell where the cesium came from too. They can tell if it came from the Fukushima disaster or it came from nuclear bombs, nuclear testing, things like that. So they use it as a dating technique. So they're drinking it in wine too. It's mostly for collectors. Most people aren't drinking the super old wine. Some people do. But if you're eating it consistently, it can accumulate in your body. So just make sure you check the shrimp, right? Let's get into some of this other news. All right, you can see this fire map of the United States right now. Half the country, right? These fires are originating in the west, but the eastern half, and especially southeastern half of the country, is experiencing the smoke and haze. All right, so we also have another big fire that's popped up in Nevada here that is putting out massive smoke plumes. You can see 42,000 acre wildfire in northern Nevada, and this is called the Cottonwood Peak wildfire. All right, and this is a very unpopulated area of Nevada and the country in general. Not many people live out here. So, and it's very dry, deserty, lots of sagebrush, scrub brush. I've been out here quite a few times, this part of the country, northern Nevada, and there are some nice mountains, things like that, but it's very dry and lots of sagebrush, lots of tumbleweeds around. So these fires do spread quickly. 42,000 acres it's already accumulated to in 4 days. It started just on the 15th and it's the 19th today. So very fast growing fire, and you can see this massive smoke plume that it's putting out, and it's mixing with these fires that are happening right now as well too in Idaho and Montana and also Wyoming. Right, the entire west is just on fire right now. And this does happen every season. This is typical, but the main question is just, why is this typical? Why does this happen? You can even see here, this fire here, the Knowles fire, 745 acres. It says here that it's human caused, right? So a lot of them are undetermined. A lot of them are human caused, and some of them are natural caused too, right? There are things that happen. There are freak accidents. There are lightning strikes. There are windstorms, knock things over, catch fire. And there's even gas releases in mountainous areas. When there's seismic activity, we potentially have things like methane gas being released from even beneath the ground, and this can create hot spots where if there's any type of spark or ignition, then the methane can quickly ignite and cause a fire right in this area. And sometimes you even get these like quote zombie fires that they have in places like Canada, where they're burning underground and they're actually burning underground, not even really burning the trees, and they're really hard to put out and really hard to track. You can also see northern Canada is under a massive smoke plume as well. Thankfully it's a low level populated area, but you can see this one fire, 343,000 acres, absolutely insane. And another one, 312,000 acres, and they're saying the status is still out of control. It's been going on for over 2 months, almost 3 months, And why are these popping up here? This is like, look at all this water. All right, a lot of this is swamplands and wetlands almost. You can just see the amount of, look at this. You can just see all the little water areas. There's rivers, there's creeks, there's streams, there's marshes, there's swamps. All these different water features. Look at this. This place is packed. This entire area is just filled with water. It's almost like a big swamp in the north. It's like Florida has the Everglades. This is like the swamp of North America in the northern part. And it's on fire still, right? So what exactly is going on here? It's kind of suspicious what's happening, and it's affecting the entire country. So if you're down in the southeast, you're seeing the haze in the sky, the fog, the weird colors in the sunset. This is probably what you're seeing, and if you're smelling these weird smells, this is probably part of it. All right, and you can see here yellow where it's have been issued. It says unusually sensitive people considered reducing outdoor activity. Go inside a cleaner area if you have symptoms. So make sure you guys are staying prepared. All right, they've also issued another alert for the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii. It's about to erupt again. It's currently not erupting, but they are anticipating that there's going to be another eruption soon. It says here Kilauea is currently not erupting. Episode 30 of the ongoing eruption ended abruptly at 12:55 on August 6th after 12 hours of continuous fountaining lava, but they're issuing a code orange alert for it, saying that it's being monitored for increased activity and we could have another eruption soon. All right, so I think we're entering in a period of increased activity across the planet. All right, 248 earthquakes. I don't know if I've ever seen that many in a single 24-hour period. All right, I've seen over 248, it's almost 250. That's a lot, and the majority of them are actually in the United States. That's where most of the sensors are. 223 you're seeing right now. We even had one over in South Carolina. All right, check this out. A 2.2 hit. Sorry, it's hard to get this zoom correct sometimes. But you can see multiple earthquakes. Actually, a 2.2 hit Karakana, South Carolina, and then a 1.1 hit there as well too. All right, we're seeing major readjustments and realignments of the tectonic plates of the earth, and we're going to see more geological activity. So thank you guys. Hope you guys are staying safe, staying prepared out there, staying stocked up. I hope you have big blessings for your life and your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.